Welcome back to The Rider's Life. I'm Ben, I'm your tech guy, and today I'm going to go through some of the basics of setting up your mountain bike suspension. First thing we need to worry about is getting the sag setting correct. What that involves is setting the air pressure in the shock and having the sag at around about 25 to 30%, which is the sweet spot. The reason for that is you want to have that negative travel, so when you're running over the rough stuff, the wheel is staying in contact with the ground. Second thing we need to have a look at is your rebound setting. That controls how quickly the wheel is kicking back after you've hit a bump. Obviously you don't want it coming back too quick, it'll make the bike want to roll over and flip you over the bars. If you have it too slow, the shock's going to pack up and you're going to be right down inside the travel of the shock and it's not going to be working properly. The third thing we need to look at is setting the shock up, the air can, for the weight of the rider. There's proprietary tokens for rock shocks. Fox also has an equivalent that you can actually stick inside the air can, and what that's going to do is reduce the air chamber volume. What that means is if you're a lighter rider, you can actually have a lower breakaway point and the shock will still ramp up nice and tight. What it means if you're a bigger guy is you can have that shock set up with higher volumes and it's going to still ramp up high without blowing through the travel as quickly. First thing we're going to do is set the air pressure to my weight on this bike. So what that means is we're going to use this shock pump, and what that allows us to do is run extremely high pressures into the shock without losing a lot of air as it unscrews. Unscrew the air cap on the valve. Don't put that anywhere you'll lose it. Shock pump goes on. Now what you need to remember is every time one of these shock pumps goes on, you lose between 10 and 15 PSI. Don't be fooled into thinking that you've got a leaky shock if you keep putting your pump on and off. At a guesstimate, I'm going to say that I'm around about 200 PSI for this particular bike and this particular linkage system. I'm around about 80 kilos. Now, as you can see, 200 PSI, close enough, is not a difficult thing for these pumps to achieve. Now, remove the pump. Climb on board. Set your sag ring. Climb off the bike without unsettling the shock. And then that'll tell you exactly how much sag you've got in your suspension. So you can tell by looking at this, it's way too soft for me. The reason you don't want your shock running too soft is constant bottom out. It's not going to be working properly if you're not getting the full range of motion through your shock. The second thing you need to worry about is the rebound. So on all shocks you'll find that there's a red rebound adjuster. What you can actually do to make this work a lot better for your style of riding is by setting it to either the rabbit or the turtle. Obviously the turtle's going to make the shock return back to where it was a lot slower and the rabbit a lot faster. Now what you want to do is you want to set up the rebound so that if you're riding your bike and you ride off a gutter, you should sink down and come straight back into position. You don't want it bobbing up and down, you don't want it slowly coming back out. So you set it up, right off a gutter, feel it bob and off you go. And once you've achieved that sort of sensation, you know that you're in the ballpark. Moving on to the front fork, there is no rear fork, also runs on air pressure if it's an enduro bike. Downhill bikes have a coil spring, they're a little bit more sensitive, but with an enduro bike you need something that's going to climb a little bit better, something you can tune a little bit easier. Now with these particular forks, they also have a lockout feature. If you're riding along, you're climbing a hill, you don't want all your forward momentum lost and bouncing up and down. You want to be able to lock it out, the bike stays still, all your efficiency goes straight through the bike and helps you climb. Now when you're setting up the front fork, what you want to do ideally, if it doesn't have a pressure setting on it like these rock shocks do, a recommended weight setting, pump up the shock so that you get a nice even bounce through the bike. If you're pushing down on the crank, the whole bike should dive nice and evenly. If it's a little bit stiff at the front, let the air out. If it's coming down a bit quick, put a bit more air into it. So with these forks, to adjust the rebound effectively, what you want to avoid, the rebound damper here, a red one just like on the rear, what you want to avoid is having the fork top out if it's too fast, and you don't want it to pack up, meaning sit lower and lower into the travel as it gets bumps through the ride. So to set it up properly, what you need to do is give it a nice compress like that, and you don't want to feel it top out, but you do want to feel it come up quick enough so that it sticks with the ground. and that's the easiest way to get your rebound dialed.